3 suns burned the sky above Carrick's, but none of them were hot enough to explain the weight-crushing Colerane's chest. In the frontier, people didn't disappear. They were sold. Cole had flown these lawless systems for 15 years. 15 years of saying no to easy money, no to slave runs, no to contracts soaked in blood, no to looking too closely at the things a galaxy pretended not to see. And for 15 years, that choice had kept him alive. Until one mistake, one navigation error, one forced walk through a market that treated sentient lives like livestock, one pair of golden eyes that didn't beg, didn't scream, didn't break. For words changed everything. Pleased by me human. Not desperation, not fear, a calculated gamble. Because she wasn't just a slave. She was a warrior, a fugitive, a walking war secret. And the moment Coleraine transferred those credits, he didn't just buy her freedom. He bought a target on his ship, a debt written in blood, and a future where survival would demand more than flying fast. In the frontier, you don't choose your battles. They choose you. The heat slammed into Coleraine the second the cargo ramp opened. Carrick's didn't do comfort. It did profit, extraction, and suffering, optimized for maximum efficiency. 3 suns hung above the landing district. Their light filtered through a permanent haze of dust and exhaust. The air clung to Cole's skin instantly, his shirt sticking to his back before he took his third step onto the permacrete. Behind him, his ship groaned in protest. Meridian's Gambit, 70 years old, Corinth class, held together by stubborn repairs, improvised welds, and one man's refusal to admit she should have been scrapped a decade ago. But she still flew. More importantly, she never hauled human misery for profit. 15 years. That record mattered to Cole more than credits. The fuel depot glowed on the far end of the landing zone, past the market district. He'd plotted a clean route, straight line, no detours, no moral compromises. Then the NAV computer betrayed him, an error code he'd never seen before. Manual reset required. Plasma coupling misaligned, which meant he'd landed 3 bursts off target, which meant the shortest path now cut straight through the market. Cole stood at the edge of the district, jaw tight. He could pay for a berth transfer. He could burn credits to avoid this. But Carrick's charged desperation premiums. He exhaled slowly. Shortcut, he muttered. Eyes forward. Walk fast. The market swallowed him whole. Sound crashed in waves. Dozens of languages. Overlapping cries. Merchant shouts. Mechanical barks from translation collars. The smell was worse. Unwashed bodies. Exotic spices. Hot metal. Ozone from stun fields crackling just out of sight. Commerce wrapped around misery. Pens stretched in long rows. Platforms raised like stages. Each one displayed lives stripped of dignity and priced accordingly. Cole kept his gaze locked ahead. Don't look. Don't engage. Don't think. A child cried somewhere to his left. His jaw clenched, but he kept walking. Fresh stock, a merchant shouted. Certified. Disease-free. Domestic labor. Security assets. Cole's boots crunched against the gritty surface. Almost through. Just a few more rows. Then the crowd parted. Just for a heartbeat. And he saw her. Blue skin caught the harsh lights like deep ocean water. Golden hair fell past her shoulders, tangled but uncut. Her ears swept back in elegant, unmistakable points. Cathian, a warrior species. A race that had fought the sovereignty for 3 brutal years before their world burned. She stood chained between a Vorlation brute and a terrified human girl barely old enough to understand what was happening to her. The Cathian didn't slump, didn't beg. She stood aware, watching the crowd like a commander studying a battlefield. Her golden eyes locked onto Cole's. He should have looked away. Should have remembered 15 years of discipline. 15 years of reasons. But something in her gaze reached into his chest and hooked hard. Pride wrapped in desperation. Intelligence forced into stillness. A warrior reduced to merchandise, yet not broken. Then she spoke, not loud, not pleading. Clear, pleased by me human. For words, no scream, no sob, a request delivered with impossible dignity. The market noise seemed to fade. A merchant appeared instantly at Cole's side, fat, six-armed, smiling with too many teeth. Excellent taste, the Herlin purred. This one is special. Cole swallowed. Not interested. Of course, the merchant waved his arms. But consider former Stormlance, tactical training, combat certified, 6 languages. Very loyal species once bonded. Cole felt sick. How much? The price was obscene. They negotiated. Cole hated himself the entire time. Credits transferred. Chain released. A data chip handed over like legality meant anything here. The chain's weight in Cole's hand felt wrong. Heavy. Dirty. They walked in silence back toward his ship. When the ramp sealed shut behind them, cutting off the market's roar, Cole dropped the chain like it burned. Computer, he snapped. Release restraints. The chains fell away. She rubbed her wrists. Thank you. Don't. Cole said harshly. I shouldn't have done this. He ran a hand through his hair. There's a shuttle depot 2 kilometers from here. I'll pay your fare. You're free. She tilted her head. I go where you go now, Captain. Cole froze. That's not how this works. You purchase my freedom, she said calmly. In my culture, that creates a life debt. A headache bloomed behind his eyes. I don't want a servant. Then you will have a partner. Cole stared at her, realizing with sinking certainty. He hadn't just made a mistake. He'd changed everything. The silence inside Meridian's gambit felt heavier than the chains that had just fallen away. Cole Reen stood near the cargo ramp, arms crossed, staring anywhere except at the blue-skinned woman now free inside his ship. The engines hummed quietly, fighting Carrick's brutal atmosphere. Outside, the market continued its endless churn of cruelty, but inside, something had shifted. You don't understand, Cole said finally, his voice tight. This was temporary. A mistake. I buy you out, get you off-world, and that's it. The Cathian woman, Thissa, watched him carefully. I understand perfectly, she replied. You believe freedom is separation. He frowned. Isn't it? In your culture, yes. Her golden eyes softened just a fraction. In mine, freedom creates obligation. Cole exhaled sharply and rubbed his face. Look, Thissa, I don't want anyone on this ship but me. I work alone. Always have. That explains many inefficiencies. He blinked. Excuse me? She gestured around the cargo bay. Your organization lacks logic. Your plasma conduit is sparking. Your emergency medkit is expired. And your nutritional reserves qualify as a mild war crime. Despite himself, Cole felt the corner of his mouth twitch. That a joke? Cathian warriors are capable of humor, she said calmly. It improves morale under pressure. Great. A warrior philosopher with opinions. Fine, Cole sighed. You stay until we reach the next major station. After that, you're gone. Thissa inclined her head. As you say, Captain Cole. He didn't miss the emphasis. 3 days later, Cole's ship was no longer his. Not officially, but it felt that way. He sat in the cockpit, staring at his NAV console in mild horror as Thissa's changes unfolded around him. Cargo manifests were color-coded, flight paths recalculated for efficiency. Even the ship's internal lighting had been adjusted for reduced cognitive fatigue. The plasma conduit? Fixed. The galley? Functional. The coffee? Still terrible, but she was working on it. Cole leaned back in his pilot's chair and watched her through the open hatch. She moved with the quiet confidence of someone used to command, her elongated ears twitching slightly whenever she found something she clearly disapproved of. You labeled this sector maybe pirates, she called. It's accurate. It is 3 star systems, all of which may contain pirates. She paused. That is not classification. That is anxiety. Been alive 15 years in the frontier, Cole shot back. Anxiety keeps you breathing. She considered that point. They flew in silence for a while after that. It was a strange, careful quiet. 2 people orbiting one another without touching the truth at the center. Finally, Cole broke. We need to talk. We are speaking. He sighed. Really talk. He grabbed 2 bulbs of coffee and tossed one to her. She caught it instantly, reflexes sharp enough to make his eyebrows rise. "Who are you?" he asked. "And don't give me the name the merchant sold me." Thissa studied the bulb, then set it down untouched. "I am Thissa, she said quietly. "Storm Lance of the 3rd Fleet. Tactical Division." Cole felt something cold settle in his gut. "You fought in the Sovereignty War." "Yes, and lost." Her ears tilted back slightly, not shame, but memory. "When our worlds fell, warriors scattered. Some died. Others were captured." She met his eyes. "We became assets." Cole swallowed. "I spent 4 weeks on Carrix," she continued. "Buyers inspected me like machinery. Asked if I was obedient. If I was broken." Her voice never wavered. "Then you walked past." "I wasn't looking," Cole said. "I know." She nodded. "I accessed your ship's public registry while waiting." His stomach dropped. "You did what?" 15 years of cargo runs. No slave contracts. Not one. She held his gaze. "You avoided the trade every time." Understanding hit him like a targeting lock. "You chose me." "Yes." "You manipulated me." "I made a tactical decision with limited resources." "That's a fancy way of saying you played me." "Yes." No apology. No excuse. Just truth. "And you do it again," Cole said. "I would." He should have been angry. Instead, he laughed once, short and bitter. "So what's the rest?" "Nobody risks that much for a shuttle ride." Thissa hesitated, then touched her temple. "There are weapons caches hidden across the frontier," she said. "Cathian stockpiles. The coordinates are locked in my mind." Cole stared. "The Syndicate has been hunting me for 2 years." Silence filled the cockpit. "You brought that onto my ship?" he finally said. "Yes." "My ship has no weapons." "Your defenses are suboptimal." Cole burst out laughing. "This keeps getting better." Thissa watched him, puzzled. "You are experiencing stress humor." "Yeah," he said. "It's either that or screaming." She hesitated. "You should have been told." "Would I have bought you?" "No." "Then you made the tactical choice." She nodded. Cole dragged a hand down his face. "You know what?" he said. "Fine. You fix the coffee. I don't space you. We survive whatever's coming." Her lips curved, just barely. "For what it's worth," she said, "a life dead in my culture is not servitude." "It's what, then?" "Partnership." Cole stared at the stars stretching into FTL. He had wanted freedom. Instead, he bought himself a war. Covenant Station announced itself with noise. Not sound exactly. Pressure. The kind that came from 100,000 lives packed into spinning metal, all breathing recycled air and chasing opportunity, just one deal away from disaster. Cole brought Meridian's gambit out of FTL with practiced ease. The massive station will rotate it ahead. Lights glittering like a false galaxy. Scale of 1 to Carrix. Thissa asked, studying the station's silhouette. "Solid 7, Cole said. "Better laws. Worse enforcement." "That is concerning." "You'll fit right in." The docking clamps engaged with a heavy metallic thunk. Cole ran shutdown checks while Thissa stood beside him. Posture alert but controlled. Her golden hair was tucked beneath a maintenance cap that failed completely at hiding her elongated ears. People would stare. They always did. The corridors of Covenant Station smelled like fried food, ozone, and desperation dressed up as opportunity. Traders shouted. Dock hands argued. Information brokers watched everything with predator patience. Eyes followed Thissa. She leaned closer to Cole. "They're observing me." "Yeah," he muttered. "Try not to look like a war hero turned fugitive." "I will attempt to appear boring." Cole glanced at her. "You commanded fleet tactics during a war." "Yes, very boring fleet tactics." He snorted. "Sure." They headed for the commercial district, weaving through the crowd. Cole kept his hand near the stunner at his hip, not because it would help much, but because fear demanded ritual. The gravity well bar sat at a busy corner. Dim lighting, bad drinks, excellent information. Cole spotted his contact, Jace Run, already waiting in a booth. They were 5 steps away when a hand grabbed Cole's shoulder. He turned to face a Voraxian, swaying on too many legs, breath reeking of fermented synth-rot. The translation collar crackled. Cathian, the alien slurred, pointing at Thissa. You lost the war. Cole stepped between them. We're just passing through. The Voraxian leaned closer. You know what they do with Cathian slaves now? Thissa moved. One moment she stood behind Cole. The next, her hand locked around the Voraxian's gripping appendage, twisting with surgical precision. Bones shifted. Tendons screamed. The alien dropped to one knee. There are 17 ways to incapacitate a Voraxian limb using leverage alone, Thissa said calmly. This is number 4. The bar went silent. Would you like to experience the remaining methods? She continued. Or would you prefer to apologize? The Voraxian choked out a panicked apology. She released him. He fled. Cole stared at her. Was that appropriate for human customs? She asked. You just nearly disarmed someone literally. I exercise restraint. Next time, Cole said, steering her toward the booth, we try words first. Words were ineffective. He couldn't argue. Jason raised an eyebrow as they slid in. New crew. Nav specialist, Cole said quickly. Thissa nodded politely. Jace slid over a datapad. Medical supplies. Run to Helio Station. 10,000 credits. Cole scanned it. Then Jace lowered his voice. Word is syndicate operatives are sniffing around, looking for something lost. Cole felt ice settle in his veins. The syndicate's always looking, he said evenly. True. Jace's eyes flicked to Thissa. But this feels personal. They shook on it. As they left, Thissa murmured he suspects. Yeah, Cole said, which means others will too. They moved fast to the cargo bay and walked straight into the Hunter. The woman wore gray, neutral, forgettable. Syndicate uniform without insignia. Tivin Syndicate, she said pleasantly. Captain Reen. Cole kept his voice calm. Can I help you? Her gaze slid to Thissa. Beautiful NAV specialist. Cathian, yes? Thissa stepped forward. I have served Captain Reen for 6 months. It was a flawless lie. The woman studied her, calculating. No problem, the syndicate agent said at last. Just routine. She left. Cole didn't breathe until she was gone. 6 months, he whispered. Specific lies are more believable, Thissa replied. They launched within the hour. FDL swallowed them. Then the alarm screamed. 3 red contacts dropped out of hyperspace behind them. Tivin Needle-class fighters. They want us alive, Thissa said. Disabled and boarded. Of course they do. She pulled up a tactical overlay. The Kess Nebula. Interference will blind their targeting. You want me to fly into that? Yes. Plasma fire streaked past the hull. Cole grinned, adrenaline surging. All right, let's make bad decisions. They dove. The nebula swallowed them whole. Sensors screaming, visibility gone. Cut engines, Thissa ordered. Cole obeyed. The fighters overshot. They ejected cargo. Debris scattered like shrapnel. The hunters broke formation. Minutes stretched into eternity. Then clear space. Silence. They had survived. Cole leaned back, shaking. Still think I'm inefficient? Thissa smiled. You fly like chaos, she said. But chaos can be effective. They weren't just running anymore. They were hunted. And neither of them was backing down. The stars stretched and snapped back into place as Meridian's gambit tore free of the nebula. Cole held the controls in a death grip. Knuckles white, breath shallow. The ship's systems were still screaming, radiation warnings blinking like accusations. But space ahead was clear. No hunters. No weapons lock. Just empty frontier darkness. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Cole laughed. Not the sharp, bitter laugh of stress, but the kind that came from realizing you were alive when statistics said you shouldn't be. We're insane, he said. Yes, Thissa replied calmly, but statistically effective. Cole finally released the controls and leaned back, rubbing his face. I just dumped 10,000 credits of cargo into space. Your survival return on investment remains positive. That is not comforting. She tilted her head. It is accurate. The ship settled into a steady cruise. Warning lights dimmed one by one as systems stabilized. Cole ran diagnostics twice. Habit born from 15 years of trusting nothing completely. Thissa stood beside him, golden eyes fixed on the NAV display. They will continue hunting, she said quietly. I figured. The Syndicate does not abandon assets. Cole turned to face her. So what now? Silence stretched. Then she said, I should leave. The words landed heavier than expected. At the next station, she continued. Disappear. You will be safe. Cole stared at her, surprised by the tightness in his chest. You leave, he said slowly. They catch you in a week? Yes. And if you stay, they hunt us both. Cole laughed again, but there was no humor in it this time. Funny thing about the frontier, he said. It's dangerous whether you're alone or not. He met her eyes. But alone, nobody comes looking. This's ears tilted back slightly, a Cathian sign of attention, not fear. You are choosing risk. I'm choosing company. She searched his face, measuring something invisible. You owe me nothing, she said. Cole shook his head. That life debt thing? It goes both ways. You just haven't admitted it yet. Her lips parted slightly. Surprise, rare and unguarded. I manipulated you, she said softly, and I still opened the ramp. Silence. Then Thissa nodded once. Very well. Something in the air shifted. Not relief. Commitment. They rerouted deeper into disputed territories. Corporate gray zones where syndicate influence was thin and law enforcement depended on who paid more that week. Cole adjusted his trade routes on the fly. Riskier runs. Smaller ports. Less profit, but more shadows to hide in. Thissa worked beside him, not behind. They planned together. Argued. Solved problems. And slowly, without either of them naming it, Meridian's Gambit stopped feeling like a ship with a passenger and started feeling like a crewed vessel again. One-night cycle. Cole found Thissa in the galley, staring at the stars through the viewport. You don't sleep much, he said. Kythians sleep differently. Of course you do. She glanced at him. You are unsettled. Hard not to be when people want to carve secrets out of your partner's head. She looked back at the stars. I did not intend to involve you beyond the market. Yeah, Cole said quietly. Neither did I. They stood there, side by side, the hum of the ship filling the space between words. Why me? He asked suddenly. Why choose me? Thissa took a long moment before answering. Because you walked past suffering when you could have profited, she said, and you still turned back. Cole swallowed. In my culture, she continued, that means something. He nodded once. Then you'd better not die, he said. I hate unfinished commitments. Her lips curved faintly. Agreed. The proximity alarm chimed. Soft, warning level. Cole snapped back into motion. Contacts. Thissa checked the scan. Unknown. Long range. Cole's jaw tightened. Looks like they're adapting. Yes, she said. So must we. Cole plotted a course deeper into unaligned space. Stars blurring into decision. All right, he said. If they're hunting us, we stop running blind. He glanced at her. You still got those coordinates locked in your head? Yes. Then it's time we figure out why they're worth dying for. Thissa studied him, golden eyes steady. Once you know, she said, there is no returning to a simple life. Cole smiled, tired but sure. Funny thing, he said, I think that life already left without asking. They jumped to FTL, not as captain and passenger, but as partners, bound by choice, danger, and the quiet understanding that whatever waited ahead, they would face it together. Cole didn't ask immediately. He let the ship run on autopilot. Stars stretching into pale ribbons as Meridian's Gambit cut through the frontier. The silence between him and Thissa wasn't uncomfortable, but it was heavy, like a sealed door neither of them had opened yet. Finally, he spoke. All right, he said, tell me what the Syndicate wants so badly they're willing to chase us into radioactive hell. Thissa remained still, eyes fixed on the NAV display. What I carry is not merely weapons, she said. It is leverage. Cole frowned. Explain. The Cathian Empire knew we would lose the war long before the final worlds burned, she continued. We planned for occupation, for extinction if necessary. She reached up, touching her temple again, not pain, but memory. The caches are not just arms. They are autonomous defense systems, planetary denial weapons, fleet killers. Cole's stomach tightened. You're talking about weapons that can wipe out entire task forces. Yes. And they're hidden all over the frontier, across regions no single power fully controls. Cole leaned back, exhaling slowly. That's why the Syndicate wants them. Not to sell. To rule, Thissa said, or to bargain with empires that fear rebellion. Silence followed. Cole imagined what that kind of power meant in the wrong hands. Markets like Carrick's multiplied across 1,000 systems, enforced by fear. And if the Concordat gets them, he asked, they would dismantle them, Thissa replied, publicly. Quietly keep parts. So nobody's clean. No. Cole laughed softly. Figures. She turned to him then. This knowledge will destroy whoever holds it. That is why it was locked inside my mind alone. No data trail. No code to steal. And that made you a walking target. Yes. Cole drummed his fingers on the console. So what's your end game? Thissa hesitated. I had hoped to reach a Cathian remnant cell, she said. Survivors. Warriors without worlds. But Syndicate pressure has scattered them. Cole nodded, meaning you don't have a plan anymore. I have objectives, she corrected, but no safe path. He considered that. Well, he said, lucky for you, I specialize in unsafe paths. Her lips curved faintly. They arrived at a fringe station 2 days later, Eris Reach. Corporate-owned, half-abandoned, and crawling with private security instead of Syndicate muscle. Cole docked under a false transponder ID. Keep your head down, he said. This place sells information as fast as fuel. They split tasks. Cole securing supplies, Thissa monitoring traffic patterns. They move like a unit now, without discussion, instinct aligned. That's when the message hit Cole's console. Unknown sender. We know what you're carrying. Docking Bay 12. 1 hour. Cole felt his blood run cold. He showed Thissa. They're getting bolder, she said. They want negotiation. Or surrender. Or betrayal, she added quietly. Cole stared at the message. 1 hour, he said. That's not a threat. That's confidence. Yes. He closed the message. We don't go, he said. Thissa studied him. Running forever will end the same way. Meeting them ends worse. Not if we control the terms. Cole met her gaze. You're thinking tactically. I always am. He sighed. All right, but we don't walk into a trap blind. Docking Bay 12 was dim, cavernous. One ship sat inside, a Syndicate courier, sleek and heavily shielded. 2 figures waited. Human, armed. Polite smiles. Captain Reen, one said, we admire your flying. Cole didn't smile back. You admire something you're trying to kill? Correction, the man said smoothly. We admire assets worth acquiring. His gaze slid to Thissa. You carry something that belongs to us. It never belonged to you, Thissa said. The second agent chuckled. Everything belongs to whoever can keep it. Cole stepped forward. Let's skip the speeches. What do you want? A trade, the first agent said. Coordinates for safe passage. Credits. Protection. And if we refuse? The man shrugged. We escalate. Cole nodded slowly. Here's the thing, he said. You already escalated. He tapped his wrist control. Alarms blared across the bay. Security lights flared on. Private corporate guards poured in from every entrance. The Syndicate agents froze. You thought I'd come alone? Cole said. I sold them your transponder ping as suspicious activity. The agent's smiles vanished. Thissa looked at Cole, surprise flickering openly. You made a deal, she said quietly. I made a choice, he replied. The guards moved in, weapons trained. The Syndicate agents were escorted out. Furious, humiliated, Cole released a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Thissa stared at him. "You burned your neutrality," she said. Cole met her eyes. "I chose a side." Silence hung between them. Then Thissa stepped closer. "In my culture," she said, voice low, "that is how a life debt transforms." "Into what?" "Into bond." Cole swallowed. "Sounds permanent." "It is," she said simply, "and dangerous." He nodded. "Yeah, but so's everything worth keeping." For a moment, neither moved. Then Thissa placed her hand over his, firm, warm, steady. "Thank you," she said, "for choosing." Cole squeezed her hand once. "Next time," he said, "we choose a plan that doesn't involve terrifying me." She smiled, fully, openly. "I will attempt to accommodate your emotional limitations." He snorted. "You're impossible. And you are no longer alone." As Meridian's gambit powered up to leave Eris reach, Cole realized something irreversible had happened. He hadn't just protected her secret. He'd made it his own. The Syndicate did not forgive humiliation. They responded with fire. The proximity alarm shrieked less than 6 hours after Meridian's gambit left Eris reach. Cole barely had time to curse before the tactical display flooded with hostile signatures. 6 ships. Not fighters. Hunters. Well, Cole muttered, hands flying across the controls. "This feels personal." "They will not negotiate again," Thissa said, already pulling up vectors. "This is a termination sweep." Plasma lanced past the cockpit, shields flaring white-hot. The gambit shuddered. She wasn't built for this kind of punishment. Cole felt every impact like a punch to the ribs. "Suggestions?" he asked. Thissa's jaw tightened. "There's a jump gate ahead. Old. Decommissioned. Meaning unstable." "Yes. Meaning suicidal. Less so than remaining here." Cole grinned, teeth bared. "That's my favorite category of plan." They dove. The hunters pursued relentlessly, weapons chewing at the gambit's shields. Warning lights cascaded across the console, hull integrity dropping, power redistribution lagging behind damage. "Cole," Thissa said sharply, "if they disable us, they will board." "And carve your head open," he finished. "Yes." Silence followed. Then she added, "I will not allow that." She reached for a control Cole didn't recognize. "What are you doing?" he demanded, preparing a fail-safe. "Explain before you do the mysterious warrior thing." Thissa turned to him, golden eyes steady. "If capture becomes inevitable, I will trigger neural collapse." Cole's blood went cold. "You'll kill yourself." "I will destroy the data," she said calmly, "and deny them victory." "Absolutely not." "Cole." "No," he snapped. "I didn't choose you just to watch you die." She hesitated. That hesitation almost got them killed. A blast slammed into the starboard hull. Systems flickered. The ship screamed in protest. Cole shoved power into the engines and hurled the gambit toward the ancient gate. "You trusted me to fly blind through a nebula," he said. "Now trust me to find another way." The gate loomed ahead, a massive ring of dead technology half-powered, drifting in silent orbit. Its activation field flickered erratically. "Once we enter," Thissa warned, "we may not control where we exit." "Frontier rule number 1, Cole replied. "Control is an illusion." The hunters closed in. "No time," he said. "Hold on." He punched it. Reality twisted. The gate screamed as it activated, ancient systems protesting their forced resurrection. The gambit was swallowed in light and ripped apart. Not physically, existentially. Cole felt weightless, directionless. Every sense screamed at once. Then, impact. The ship lurched violently back into real space. Alarms blared. Gravity slammed home. Cole gasped, fighting nausea. They were alive. Barely. "Status," he croaked. Thissa scanned the systems, hands shaking for the first time since he'd known her. Engines damaged. Shields offline. But no pursuit. Cole laughed weakly. "I'll take it." She didn't laugh. She stared at him. "You refuse my failsafe," she said. "Why?" Cole wiped blood from his lip. Because survival that costs everything isn't survival, he said. It's surrender. Her breath hitched just slightly. You risked the data, she said. You risked the frontier. I risked us, he corrected. Silence filled the cockpit. Then Thissa stepped closer. In Cathian culture, she said quietly, choosing another's life over victory is the highest form of bond. Cole swallowed. Then I guess we're way past efficient partnership. Yes. She reached out, resting her forehead against his, an intimate Cathian gesture, reserved for warriors who had shared battle and loss. Her voice was barely audible. I do not wish to die, she admitted. Not anymore. Cole closed his eyes. Good, he said, because I'm terrible at letting go. They stayed like that for a long moment, the ship drifting, systems slowly stabilizing around them. Outside, unfamiliar stars burned, uncharted space, a place where maps ended, and choices mattered more than rules. The stars outside the viewport were wrong. Cole knew that instantly. They burned colder, older, arranged in patterns no NAV database recognized. Meridian's gambit drifted in silence, battered but alive, systems slowly crawling back from the edge of failure. Uncharted space, the kind most pilots avoided because it offered no contracts, no protection, and no witnesses. Cole exhaled slowly. Well, he said, on the bright side, no syndicate. Thissa stood beside him, arms folded, gaze fixed on the unfamiliar constellations. They will keep searching, she said. But not here. Not yet. Cole nodded. That buys us time. She turned to face him fully. Time to decide, she said. He didn't pretend not to understand. The weapons caches, the knowledge locked inside her mind, the power to destabilize entire regions, or prevent that power from ever being used. You could still leave, Cole said. Find someone else. A remnant cell. A cause. And you, she asked. I'd go back to hauling cargo, he said honestly. Drinking bad coffee. Pretending the galaxy isn't on fire. Thissa studied him. That life is already gone, she said gently. He smiled faintly. Yeah, I notice. Silence settled, not heavy this time, but reflective. In Cathian belief, Thissa said, a bond is not sealed by words. It is sealed by choice, repeated when escape is possible. Cole looked at her. So what's the choice? She took a breath. We destroy the caches. Cole's eyebrows rose. All of them. Yes. The syndicate loses. The Concordat never gets their hands on them. Everyone loses a weapon. And gains a chance, she said. Cole considered the implications. The danger. The impossibility. Then he thought of Carrick's. Of chains. Of a market that sold souls because power made it profitable. I'm in, he said. She searched his face. You don't hesitate. I already chose you over safety, he replied. This is just logistics. A soft sound escaped her, something between a laugh and disbelief. You are impossible, she said again. I've been told. It took months. They moved like ghosts, from dead systems to forgotten moons, from hidden vaults to buried armories. Each cache destroyed quietly, reactors overloaded, systems burned clean beyond recovery. No explosions bright enough to draw attention. No signatures worth tracing. The syndicate followed rumors, always too late. Each success tightened their bond, not through ceremony, but through shared risk, shared exhaustion, shared moments stolen between near deaths. Cole learned Cathian combat principles. Thissa learned frontier trade laws and sarcasm. The coffee improved. Somehow that mattered. The last cache lay beneath the crust of a dead world, a scarred planet stripped by war long before humans had mapped it. They stood together in the silent chamber as the final system overloaded. Thissa rested her hand against the control panel. When this is done, she said, the debt ends. Cole's chest tightened unexpectedly. And what happens then? She turned to him. Then we see what remains when obligation is gone. The countdown reached 0. The chamber trembled. They ran. Back aboard Meridian's gambit, Cole watched the planet fracture quietly behind them. No fireball, no spectacle. Just finality. It's over, he said. Yes. The ship jumped to FTL. For a while, neither spoke. Then Cole cleared his throat. So, bond partnership, is that still on the table? Thissa smiled, slow, genuine, unguarded. The debt is gone, she said, but the bond remains. Good, he replied, because I was hoping to renegotiate into something permanent. Her golden eyes softened. In my culture, she said, that is called choosing without debt. She stepped closer. Cole rested his forehead against hers. Human instinct meeting Cathian tradition. Stay, he said, not as a command, not as a request, as a truth. I am staying, she replied. The frontier didn't change overnight. Markets still existed. Cruelty still found profit. But somewhere out there, a cargo pilot and a warrior without a world kept flying, quietly removing the worst weapons in the hands of those who would misuse them. Not heroes, not legends, just two people who refused to look away. Meridian's gambit slipped into the stars, old hull patched, systems humming. Coffee finally drinkable. Cole smiled as he set a new course, not toward safety, but toward meaning. In the endless dark of the frontier, they had found something rare, not freedom, but each other.